Earlier this year, I interviewed my friend Seth Keen, who is an independent promoter. I asked him a couple questions about what advice he would give for independent artists who are trying to level up their game and show promoters that they're ready for big opportunity shows or being ready for the next level. Today, I want to share my top 3 takeaways from this interview and things that I think would be valuable to you as an independent artist. I want to offer my top 3 takeaways of things that Seth said that independent artists can do that will help them to get the opportunities that they might be looking for, or at least to show promoters that they're someone who takes it seriously and they're a good choice for their next show. Number 1 is to make your show an event. Number 2 is to understand what a radius clause is and to not overplay your market. Number 3 is to create value for your fans. So before we dive into that, what is a promoter? A music promoter is a professional responsible for organizing and marketing live music events, acting as a liaison between artists, venues, and the public. They book venues, negotiate contracts, run marketing campaigns, and manage the ticket sales to ensure a successful event. Basically, they're the person that takes on the risk and makes sure that money is made from the show and that everyone not only has a good time, people are safe, people make money. So basically, promoters are the people putting on the party. So you might be an independent artist and say, I've put on shows before. The thing is you've probably acted as a promoter in those situations. If you're the one booking the venue, getting a bill of bands together, then there you are, you're a promoter. And if you haven't done this before, it might be something worth looking into if you're just getting started out and looking to level up your game, or maybe there's not shows that you're interested in going to or being a part of yet. Being your own promoter might be the way to go.
Love what you do, play, have fun, but if you're wanting it to be like a bigger thing and you want to actually be taken seriously as far as like getting on regional, national acts and stuff like that, I need you making your shows an event.
So the first thing that I learned from this conversation with Seth is that we need to make our shows an event, whether you're promoting them yourself or you're a part of a show that the promoter is putting on. Basically, this boils down to one thing: make it something worth showing up to. Music isn't just music, it is part of the entertainment industry. You're not just competing with other bands and other events that are going on in town. It is literally every form of entertainment. So that new video game that just dropped that everyone is in, if there's a new show on Netflix, or if they want to binge Game of Thrones for the 3rd time in a row, you are competing with all of these different things when you put on a show. So making sure it's something that's interesting to people that they will want to come to is priority number 1. You could kind of sum that up and say you want to make sure that every show is not just another gig. There's a difference between a show, which people go to that's very curated and exciting, and a gig where it's more of like your music in the background and you're being paid to be there just to fill some noise. A lot of times, specifically with promoters, especially for bands that you might be looking up to, that's more likely going to be a show. And so being more conscious of what value you bring to that show, make sure you stand out from other local bands or other bands in the region that have the opportunity, and that you're not just another band saying, I've played the same set 5 times this year, or more than that. So if you're putting on your own show and you're the promoter for it, here's some ideas on what you can do to kind of set that show apart and make it an event for people to come to. You can have a theme. A local artist in Kansas City, Cat King, will put on Zombie Prom every year. And this is an event where people dress up for Halloween. All the bands on the lineup dress up. And it's just an excuse to kind of come to the show and have a good time. They'll play different covers and make things an event. You can bring sponsors that align with maybe some of the values of the band. Maybe it's a local charity or fundraiser. We've had shows locally start to do food drives in tandem with their shows, specifically to fundraise for that. In short, you want to make sure that your shows are an event. It's something worth showing up to, and it's something that values your fans' time and also is intriguing enough to say that I look forward to going to that this week, outside of just the music.
First thing I look at whenever I would open on trying to figure out locals for shows or things like that, if I look and I see you playing 8 shows in Kansas City in the same month, and that sounds like an exaggeration, but it happens. And if your friends and family can come see you 8 times in a single month, they're not going to care to come out every single time.
All right, so now we have to talk about point number 2, which is radius clauses. You may not be sure what that is. I'll read you a quick definition here. A radius clause is an agreement that you won't play another show within a certain distance and time frame of the event. Promoters use this to protect the value of their show, and if fans have multiple opportunities to see you that month, ticket sales might drop. Okay, so hold on. I'm not saying you can't go out and play other shows, and you may not be playing shows that enforce a radius clause really strictly. But it's this idea that if you're playing too much, you're immediately disqualifying yourself from the opportunities. Seth and I have talked a lot about it before. That's the first thing that he asks is, how often has this band played out? And if they have anything announced that will be within that show that he's considering. And so when a band is playing out very often, he will probably just not consider them at all. You know, if you're playing next week or in 6 weeks, people might say, you know, I'll catch them next time. And that's the thing we want to try to avoid, is still to create an interest in what you're doing, but not so much comfortability where people can say that they can just see you whenever they want. And that might be as simple as saying, in order to make ourselves attractive, we're not going to play out too much. And this is if your goal is to get the opportunity to play on shows with bands that are coming in from out of town, that opportunity opening slot that you've maybe dreamed of. And I'm not saying this will exclusively get you that, but it really does make you look a lot better, especially when your band is still getting established. So enforcing that radius clause idea for your own band could look like something where you only play your market every 3 to 4 months. But if you're just getting started out, you might say do it every 1 to 2 months, and that could be playing cities that are near your city or within 45 minutes of your city. So like for Kansas City, it's easy to show, like if you're in Kansas City playing a show, you can probably get away with playing a show in Lawrence, Kansas, which is 45 minutes away, has great venues, and still feels like different enough a market where like feels like slightly different audiences in a similar sphere. There might be a similar thing in your area, but I would encourage you, if you're starting out, probably leaning on the 2 times a month. And if you're a more established band looking to take that next step, probably put your shows into the maybe once every 3 months, every 4 months category. It's kind of like you don't want to go up to play a show and be like, I have no recorded music, so this is a one-night stand, and you don't get to listen to me at any other point except for at my show. And so I always tell people, if you're in the studio, you're getting recordings, you're writing new songs to try out those shows, if you've got a good balance of that where your shows can really be a new experience every 6 weeks.
Yeah, because another thing too is, like, kind of going off of what you said, you're playing the same 5 or 6 songs every single set. Like, at a certain point, you gotta ask, are people going to care?
All right, this brings me to the last point, which is create something valuable for fans. And Seth gives us a couple ideas in his interview, but the things that come to mind for me is create a brand that's worth investing in. Does your band or your artist act have something about its brand that makes it cool to invest in? I would say that anything that helps to create that value for fans are things that you should be considering. Making sure that you have a song that people can go and listen to, making sure that your handles are all the same, making sure that you have some merch that is purchasable. Also, why would you want to miss out on that opportunity to make some money or to engage with fans? There's lots of different ways to make sure that your brand is on point for fans to engage with. A big part of this, having a brand and creating value for your fans, is that you need recorded music available for people to find online. This is not only a non-negotiable for the promoter to be able to hear what you sound like ahead of time, this is also a non-negotiable for creating fans, because if they can only listen to you on that one night that they get to see you, then it's likely to be more like a one-night stand than a serious relationship where they want to engage with you beyond that one night. I would highly suggest that you either rush getting a single out if you're a band that doesn't have anything out, or you make sure that what you do have out is a really good representation of what your band experience or the thing that you're trying to curate sounds like. All right, and the last thing that I took away from this conversation was this quote right here from Seth. I think this is pretty much a great way to summarize it. And if you don't take anything from this video, this is the one thing that I'd want you to hear.
At the end of the day, playing in front of your friends and your family and people who feel kind of obligated to come and support you is cool. But building your fan base, building your craft in front of a full crowd that nobody knows who you are is what you should be aiming for, because you're always wanting to build new fans, get in front of new spots. If you're wanting to get as support for like national acts, or if you're wanting to just get playing bigger venues or making this your job. The effort has to be there.
And that's what these opportunities of playing shows with promoters like Seth, with bands coming in from out of town, will give you. And so if you can position yourself, take yourself seriously, get your house in order, these opportunities can be career changing. And really, promoters aren't trying to gatekeep these, but they are trying to make sure that the show goes off good for everyone. So doing your part to show up the best that you can, to be a contributing partner in these shows, is the best thing that you can do to make sure you get these opportunities. Here's a couple bonus tips that I also found really helpful, the things he brought up. When reaching out to promoters or booking agents, email is always best. While some people are probably really responsive on their DMs, it's really a lot easier and more professional for them to track if you do through email, especially when they're juggling anywhere from 50, 60, maybe even 100 shows in a year. And so when you're one band on one of the shows that they might have for 6 months in advance, email is going to be the best place for them to be able to keep their thoughts organized and to make sure that you don't fall to the bottom of the stack. On the flip side of this, make sure that when you're following up, that you're being considerate of their workload. Don't overwhelm them with questions that can be easily answered closer towards the date of the show. Don't be asking them questions that aren't really relevant to them, especially if you're in that opening spot. This isn't to say that you shouldn't be proactive in your communication and giving them things like your stage plot, who's on the tour with you, anything that they might need to know or they might need to give to the venue to make the show go off without a hitch. If you like this video, found any of this information helpful, don't forget to subscribe if you want to see more of this. I also have a link below to the full interview if you want to hear all the advice that Seth gave. If you have any questions, make sure to leave them in the comments and I'll be sure to see what I can do to help with those. Again, thanks for watching the video and I'll see you in the next one.